to Before You Tank, thriving in an industry that sucks. We say it sucks because 98% will fail. Our mission is to make sure you don't. Hi everybody, we're back and it's midday, so you can guess that we have coffee.
And I don't have beer.
Oh, you don't? I thought for sure you had beer. I was like, all right. He's got his beer. We're rocking now. You guys, we are going to talk about partnerships. Partnerships are near and dear to my heart. They, to me, are the way that you can grow faster, scale faster, do better. And I want to define a partnership, I think, to start out the gate so that we make sure. To me, that's a win-win situation. That is where it can be a partner that does your prototype for you for free. It can be a manufacturer that partners with you that pays for all their tooling. It can be a partner that you use in development that helps you do a piece that you don't know how to do. It could be a partner.
Yeah, we're not really talking about the partnerships in terms of, I'm going to form a company and I brought in partners necessarily, right? That's exactly a different kind of thing here. We're talking about partnerships for your business itself.
Exactly. Things that will help you scale and succeed and get there quicker. So I'll give you a great example, and we're going to try to stay on topic in that because this, I think, is really, really valuable. When I did my claim to fame deal, my pantyhose package, it was a toilet paper roll. She shoved pantyhose in it, stapled it, and sent it to me. And I went, what? And so I reached out immediately to a packaging companies, and I found one in Atlanta who offered for free to see if they could make it really cool for me. And you guys, it came out, I should show pictures someday, but it came out a little bigger than a lipstick tube, but a little smaller than a roll of quarters, just in case you don't know what lipstick tubes look like. And so you guys, they spent a month and they created something really impressive and amazing, and they figured out how to make the machinery to do it. But now I had these really drop dead prototypes for free. And so to me, that's a killer partnership. I have, in the past, I had a client with a military product. He had worked a really long time on this product. I came on board, and in 3 weeks, I was able to partner him with a manufacturer and 3 distributors that wanted to carry the product. So he had sales and he had a partner for manufacturing, no money in. So those are the kind of partnerships I really want to talk about, because I think if you can, I see it that we get it, but we don't always know who that real partner really is. Like sometimes our mind doesn't quite connect what that is. And when I say that, I'm going to use the story we talked about before with my love her woman. She's a food broker, great at sales, but she had a tent style shower curtain. And she was looking at tent companies to help her. And the tent company finally told her, we don't sell shower curtains. You need a shower curtain manufacturer because they work with the distributors and the right retailers. So once she clicked, she's like, Luann, duh, I get it now. And so even the smartest people in sales don't always realize where the connection is. And so I want us to discuss that, like making sure how you identify, but more importantly, like how to make those partnerships fair. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, I was going to say there's an underlying theme in everything you were just talking about, right? Where the person that's coming to the table that you're asking to partner with you on something, or you develop a special packaging for you, right? They see the long-term benefit for them, or they realize why they should be investing their time, money, or even energy just listening, taking your phone call, right? Because if they can see that value ahead for them, then it makes sense, right? Obviously, you get a great packaging solution out of it. They get to do all the packaging for your business, no matter how many times.
They were smart enough to know that if they developed it, they were going to own it, and they were going to get all of the thing. And you guys, we got a crazy amount of places that you went in.
When you see these kind of opportunities and you realize, like, okay, we want to find the good partnerships, where do you start, right? How do you find those kind of, what mindset do you get in to start thinking about, okay, how do I find those kind of partnerships for my product or my business? Or
Oh, well, and if you're asking me the question myself, it depends because you can use partnerships, you guys, in all areas, right? I mean, I've seen people use partnerships with their patent attorney who gets a piece of the action and he writes the patent for free. But for me, I try to look at what is the goal. We like big picture. So where am I heading? Am I going licensing? Am I going to manufacturing it? Where do I want to be? So I look at big picture, and then I look at what are the steps that are going to take me to get to my big picture. And if it's kind of like saying if I go to step 1, step 2, and then I jumped over to target at step 3, well, didn't I get there a whole lot faster? So in my head, that's kind of how I look at it. So I like to start big picture, and then I try to see, we joke all the time, but I try to look for how many free connections can I make along the way, because I only have limited budget or no budget. And how can I find something? So having said that, though, what's really important once I figure out that I really do need a manufacturing partner because I can't afford the tooling but I know my product is a home run. Well, I'm going to find something that proves to that manufacturer that my product is a home run, right? Because you want him to have something that he feels really confident that he's going to win. So I would go and try to get buyer feedback so that I could get somebody interested. So I could say that, look, I've talked to Target and it looks like they're very interested. I can teach a slight trick. Do you think we're safe to do that?
So,
I think you guys, I could teach a small trick. When I market or when I'm looking for a partner or I'm dealing with anyone, one thing I've learned in this world, just in life in general, is being salespeople, we over exaggerate. Sometimes we get carried away. So I try really hard to stay on the money. Truth, the best you can. Stay on the truth. Because the last thing you want to do is get caught in a lie. But as salespeople, we know enthusiasm is really powerful. And so sometimes saying less is more. And so you can use your enthusiasm sometimes to get a partner more involved. But so if I was going into a manufacturer and I asked them if they would be open to manufacturing my product. I don't always just walk in the door and say, hi, you want to make this product for me? Or do you want to be a partner and do this for me for free? I knock on the door and I ask them, would you be willing to quote this? Would you give me an idea of what the cost would be? And they are going to ask the simple questions, which are usually very common, like, what price are you trying to be at? What time, they're going to ask what kind of quantities I want. And when they come to that place where they ask on the quantities, that's when I like to say something like, I don't really know because people are liking it better than I thought. Or I spoke to Target and it seems like they liked it better than I thought. Better than I thought is an interpretation. You're obviously not lying because unless Target told you no, please don't use Target. Do you know what I mean? Use real stories, find a distributor, find a company that says, wow, this has got some merit, or I like it. I think it's interesting, so that you're not, you can't honestly look somebody in the face when you've been told 4 times it's awful, pass. But when you can say, and most of the time I can usually get people interested in decent products. So now you're saying to your manufacturer, I'm not really sure. Can you guide me on that? Can you help me? Well, now you just shifted a sales call to them. So now they're selling me on wanting to make my product, right? Because you're going in the door, you're asking, can I get it done? How much is it going to cost? Just like you had millions in your pocket. But you're using enthusiasm and hopefulness of your product so that then when the guy sells you, he's getting more excited about investing.
So maybe another way, even thinking about that and looking at it is, realizing that there's always 2 people in the conversation. And so allowing space for them to use their creativity in whatever it is you're talking about, right? Because it may not always be that particular conversation, but if you're talking to somebody who you believe might be a good potential partner, and you go in and you tell them, oh, it's going to be exactly this and this and this and this and this, and you define everything right up front, right? There's no room for creativity left. Whereas if you give them the general idea and then allow their mind to associate with things that they've done or seen in the past, there's some interesting.
Well, and what I want them to associate with is the fact that if you got Target to say they're excited, they're going to their sales team and they're going to go, holy crap, this person doesn't really know what they're doing. And they've already got Target excited.
Okay, I see.
So their sales team is kind of going, wow, maybe this is something we want. And so sometimes And in the beginning of my career, I got it a lot where they come back downstairs and say, would you consider licensing this? And sometimes my clients want that because you're at the perfect match. They want a new product. You've got a new product and they can tell that you don't have funding and you know what you're doing. But if they came back and said, would you be open to licensing it? You can always say, I don't think I want to do that, but would you be open to, working with me and creating, a partnership relationship? I love that strategy because for me, it was like an 88% success rate that I'd get asked a licensing deal. Because when the salesman can take your enthusiasm and go upstairs to a team that really knows what they're doing and they know you don't, they can see an opportunity to grab something and run, which is really fun. But I've literally gone into a manufacturer's before, but I have distributors set up that say, we want to carry this. We'll buy 10, because a distributor will buy your units and then they'll sell them. And so I've had distributors say, look, we'll buy 25,000 units for the year. I've gotten 3 in a row, so I know between them, I'm going to sell 60,000 units. And I've walked literally out of the back door and walked in and said, hey, I see you manufacture, can you do this? And then they say, great. And then I've said, look, I have a client who I just got 3 distributors that want 60,000 units, but he doesn't have funding. And boom, right away, they see the opportunity to partner and do that. So those are kind of 2 fun tricks that I like. But every time I come with something that's not just taking advantage of the other guy, right? Some asset.
It's got to have value. It's got to be win-win.
It's got value because I also work a lot of in aviation, and a lot of time we work with our supplier on developing new technology. Win-win for us is we are bringing new product with a new technology that doesn't exist, and for the supplier, their benefit is they're getting into the aviation market, so they will want to work with us and use our resources to develop that technology. So it's win-win for both of them all the time.
Oh, yeah. And I see that a lot. I see a lot of times where manufacturers will help you with technology to get the manufacturing. But if you know you're going to have sales, then it makes it easier than just me saying, oh, I think I can do that, right?
Yeah. And I think it really is interesting because you start to step back for a minute. And if you think about it going in that way, you start to look at these potential partnerships as who else can benefit from what I'm already doing.
Exactly.
And that is a mutual, right?
Exactly.
So if, and you can apply this to sales, you can apply this to product development, you can apply this all over the place, right? But if you're already going out there shaking a bunch of hands, talking to a bunch of people and connecting with these ideal customers, it's like, well, who else is doing the same thing that you are? Their product is just complementary or their solution is complementary. And so now you have the opportunity to power up together, right? Some people will do it in a co-branding element. You've seen this done in big ways, right?
Right.
We can think of the really popular ones like
I always
Lego and Adidas, right?
Right.
These huge companies, and obviously they don't need more market share, but they get creative and they're like, hey, let's partner together. This product can be super fun, right?
I love that. And you said something in our and if you guys haven't watched it, he did the crowdfunding podcast, and it was great what you taught us. And you mentioned that you have to do this pre-campaign so that you get all these followers so that when you launch your Kickstarter, that you're going to have sales. And then you said it works great for companies that continue to bring out other products because they've already built an audience. But we talked about, could we share the audience? Because if you're, like you said, if the product match, there's a great fit for partnership.
Right, as long as you're adding value there, right? It's so that we talk about that a lot. It's like when whoever you're talking to your audience, whether they come from there, whether you've built them, is just making sure that you're adding value because otherwise it's noise. Right. So.
Yeah. And I've had it said before where if it's not done correctly and you're not bringing value, I've had the other guy straight out and say, I'm not going to let you ride on my brand. They're offended. Yeah. They're like, look, I worked really hard to build a brand. I'm not going to let you do that. But if you bring a solution, and I think we told a story earlier, I'm going to try to leave out a lot of the details, so I hope it will make sense. But I have a client who spent a lot of money. We're trying to start over so that she has some success. I found someone in her industry of her product that would come out very big being an investor in this product, and they're a very successful, wealthy company that can partner. And so it's a really good fit. She doesn't need a lot of money. They get a lot of goodwill from it, plus they'll get, a piece of the company. So it's sometimes that just falls into place so beautifully. And I gotta say, that's kind of what a licensing deal is, right? You're partnering with a company that's gonna manufacture and then they're gonna pay you a royalty. But I think that it's really powerful even when you want to own your own company, you know.
Absolutely.
I do, and I that's why I think influencers did so big for a while. You know, you could get an influencer or a blogger to partner with your product, and now they made a living doing that. Is that still as popular now? I feel like that's not as popular.
It's definitely changed, right? Especially because every time, if you're talking about social media influencers, every time the algorithm changes, it changes their
position.
reach and their ability, right? So things change quickly, and so I think the strategy has shifted. It's still a very real thing, but people are starting to see more and more value in like the micro influencers, and so I'll kind of add that in terms of this whole partnership idea is. There's obviously it's like we want to work with and license the biggest person out there who's got the most share of the market. But when it comes to partnerships and people that can help you achieve what you want to do in the long run, and you're looking at those steps like you talked about earlier, where you're laying them out. Think about the folks that maybe they're not huge, maybe they're not super well known, but they have a really engaged group, right? If they've got 1,000 amazing customers, that's so much more powerful than somebody who's got 10,000 people that are kind of interested. Right? There's just
I agree, because they're hot and warm, ready. They're loyal to you. They're going to do good for you. I love that.
So I would say don't discount the little guys in a sense.
Well, and I think the little guy can give you a lot of fast momentum, so that a couple little guys and a big guy is going to say, "Hey,
the big guy has a process. They've been around a long time. They've got more gatekeepers, right? They've got a lot of more red tape, and so sometimes it just takes longer to get there. So you can, to your point, get a lot more momentum very quickly.
Well, and so, like we said in the beginning, when you're thinking about a partner, you want to think about somebody that you're going to excel their business. So I have another product. It wouldn't be a direct connection to the product, but it's I know I'm trying not to tell the product, which makes this really hard, right?
We're gonna have like this series of little edits
like
where we're like talking and then it just goes
what we're
blank for a
talking
second.
about. Please fill in. So there's a product, but then there's a celebrity that has assets that, you know, like recipes or experience or things that would add in addition to this product. So you're not necessarily getting the manufacturing partner, but now you got somebody who's got this reputation and in this arena, and they're like, hey, we want to share our, say, recipes. We want to share all that. When they say yes, it makes it a lot easier when your manufacturer goes, well, wait a minute, you got Martha Stewart. You guys, I'm just using scenario examples, but you got Martha Stewart on board. Wow, then that leverages for you. Do you get what I'm saying? So there's other ways to pull that partnership.
Absolutely.
How do you use partnerships?
I think I use the partnership because I think I said it earlier that I'm not Google. Because I
don't know it all.
I try not to. I mean, I have limited capabilities, but I think there's so many new inventions coming in the market, right? The product requirements coming in. I may not have all the technologies I'm familiar with. So it's easier for me to, instead of learning those technologies, trying to find out how to use it, I can rather partner with someone who already is good at their technologies. It saves my time, saves their time, and we both get into that product. So I think that's how I like to use partnership to bring more unique product to the market.
So I got to ask a question though. We talked about this earlier. I have learned that with any relationship that I go into, I try really hard to make it a lasting relationship. So I have a slight belief, probably sickness, that if I've met you, we're friends, but they may not think that. But in my head, I've always been that way. And so, in fact, I was just saying that, I'm at Disney, and last night I'm sitting at Disney and I'm thinking, oh, my client would be great here. And I have a girl who's buyer with Disney, head of merchandising, who's really wonderful. And I emailed her in this morning, she already told me no. But I have her, like, we've become buds in a sense that she will answer my emails and stuff. But when you're working with someone, you're partnering more on a financial, I'm going to pay you, right? You're going to share your fee. Or do you kind of work off sometimes relationships where you're like, I'll jump in and give you some help if you'll jump in my guys and give help?
Depend on project to project sometimes. Okay. I mean, it goes both ways. Like if I'm partnering with someone, it's like, it's unspoken. Like if they need help, I'm going to be there for it. So I think it's just like, that's what the partnership for me is like. we help each other and we may build that product. So he may get some product that he need my help.
That's
So
what
I'm
I
gonna help
wondered
him
if you would
out.
share.
Yeah.
I got to share a story. And again, I want to tell it because it's a great one and it's a great technique to use to get you a deal. But I want to, of course, leave out some of the information. So bear with me and keep me online if it's not coming over clear. You guys, I had a client who had a very cool product. It's an apparel, just so you understand that industry. And she really wanted a licensing deal and did not want to manufacture the product. She had started down the path and realized that that's a lot of work. And so she came to me for a licensing deal. And you guys, sometimes you knock on doors and you just can't get a licensing deal. So I had made a relationship with, would have been an ideal licensing partner, but they were like, no, we don't really do that. And so I did my rounds of, whatever's in the industry. And I came back and I said to the one who I had built a relationship, we had a nice conversation about why they wouldn't. So I went back and I said, you know what? Have you ever, or would you ever considering helping us, kind of really tweak this and make it right? So that maybe, we could either come out under your brand, but we produce it, we put up the funding, some way that we can maybe partner so that it would be enticing for you, so that we, so we could kind of work together. And he was sort of like, wow, I think I would have a blast trying to help you guys create this. And so he got all excited. And when you get people excited, they all of a sudden kind of see things a little brighter than they might have started. So all of a sudden, as he's working towards creating this, he starts to realize that, you know what? You guys, I'm asking him to figure out how to fit it into his brand anyway. Why would you let us keep the profits? And it finally hit him. Oh, that licensing ideal may not have been such a bad one. So it was a way that I could create a relationship.
And it's interesting because really what you did there is you asked him about like, how can I make this more valuable to you?
Exactly.
Right? And so sometimes you can't fully get in someone's head, you try a particular method and they're like, nah. But when you put that out there, like, hey, how do I make this, something that is exciting to you, something that gets you pumped, right? And suddenly you realize like, oh, that's the pain point that I had to overcome. And now they're on board.
And sometimes it's literally just walking them down the little path that makes them realize that, well, wait a minute, this is really pretty good. Why would I give it all away to you? And that's what you want them to say. And so I have had an opportunity now to use that several times where I've come back where the company says, look, I like the product. I'm willing to be part when you get it done to distribute it. But we're not going to invest this couple $1 million. And so you continue down your path, but then you start thinking, well, how could I really find out? What could make that tip for them? And I've gone back and said, what if I have the 2 million? Would you guys help us? Because you have a brand that everybody knows. Well, now we're having conversations the way that makes sense for all of us because they don't want to be pushed. People don't want to be fed they don't want to be forced everything, right? They want you. And so now I'm starting to learn what their pain points are and what would make it enticing. And, for us as the inventor, he doesn't have $2 million, even though this company probably does. But if I had this company on board, there's somebody out here that will help me get the $2 million.
Absolutely.
So we're just trying to figure out now. So those are the kind of conversations that you can have. Like I'm trying to give you actual verbiage that you can go back and say, okay, listen, but I built it so that they offer distribution. So it wasn't like I forced something down them. I used the little bit they gave me and I created the next step.
Correct.
And that stuff's powerful.
It is. And it sounds so simple, but really it boils down to that concept of, how do I find a win for this person that I want to work with me?
Exactly.
How do I make a win for them and that they get it, they see it, because then you've removed their roadblocks, right? And so now they get it, why not? And so if that is how you can achieve your next goal, well then, it's a win-win for both of you.
And you guys, it might be a step and then you go, okay, now what do I have to do to make it more win? So we talk about it all the time, the Easter egg hunt. In the world now, it's not like it used to be. I mean, I did my first 12 deals right out the door. It was like, boom, boom. It was awesome. There was no competition. Now you got to you got to stand out and you got to be better and you got to be wide. And so, like you said, if you may get over one little hurdle, maybe you get your prototype hurdle and then you get over the next hurdle and the next. So keep thinking, like you always say, big picture, keep thinking out here, and then you'll know how to work the next step and how to make it make sense. And keep searching, because every day you may find something new, like something just broke. Years and years and years ago, I worked for United Way. And years ago. And I don't know if you guys remember, but I think Al Gore was in town and he was with like Arnold Palmer or one of them, and he broke his ankle or something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but we had a donated picture of Arnold Palmer with a signature. And we were like, oh, well, hopefully we'll get $1,000. And we were really grateful for the donation, but he's local. And so it was kind of something we normally did. Well, the next thing we know, he's like all over the news. I couldn't get to the PR fast enough to say, we got so much money for that picture. Right timing, right place, right thing. So keep on that, right? Follow trends, know what's coming, know what's going on. Any more thoughts? Give me a tip.
I think for a tip, I would say, make space for yourself frequently to be open to these ideas and partnerships, right? And then kind of lay out that path like you talked about. Take the time to go ahead and lay that out. And then as you progress through each step, make a little space for yourself to look and say, is this an opportunity to partner? Is this an opportunity to find a win-win relationship? Because you'll find that whether you just started potentially licensing or whether you've been in manufacturing for years and now you're looking to reduce cost by doing, design for me. Pawan's about to go on a whole tangent on that topic alone.
I'm going to keep quiet on that.
Okay, another episode.
We definitely need one for that.
No matter where you're at in there, look for those opportunities.
Oh yeah, because even if you've been selling, there's a company that's done 35 million in 2 years in sales, but they're still looking now to partner with a retailer because you can't do online forever, whatever that relationship is. Give me a good one.
I think my thing is like partnership is like, it's never like it's what's in it for you. You have to consider what's in it for them. And I think that's where you can win better partnership and you can find better partnerships. So I think that's very key to find a good partner.
Win-win. My tip is have the courage to ask for the partnership,
good one.
But ask it in the right way. So this is a little bit random, but it's going to hit home. You're going to understand. And I know we've said it before. When you are an inventor and you sit down and say, I have the only one, there's no competition, and that's why we're going to make $1 billion, you have lost every single person that you will ever talk to. Because it just doesn't happen. There's always competition. There's not one product that makes $1 billion, maybe cell phones, but you know what I mean? That's really hard to come by. So if you're actually just asking for help, like I gave some examples, don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to say, what could I do? Could I bring the money? Could I, whatever it is, so that we can fix it. So assets get results. So how can you do that? So have the courage to ask. All right, I think that's it. Come see us again. You guys keep sending us stuff. We're loving it. Thanks.